bright in Nebraska as 7,000 of the best and brightest come together at the 95th Annual Nebraska FFA Convention. We will hear from students and highlight those who believe in the future of agriculture. Plus, while the big boys shut down, a small meat plant expanded. We'll head to Ord and a unique egg program giving homeschool kids an FFA experience. It's time to grow. Celebrating the future of agriculture. We're on location at the 95th Nebraska FFA Convention. Nebraska FFA boasts 12,000 members, making it the largest career student organization in the state. This year's convention attracted around 7,600 people. This year, Kurt Vandewall of Fillmore Central was honored with the Gary Scharf Helping Hand Award. Kurt has taught for more than 20 years and led efforts to mentor young egg teachers across the state, something called a transformative investment. He's also active in his church and community. Much more from the FFA convention later in the show. A year after wildfires, NTV's Lauren Bentley reports it could still take years more for the land to fully recover.
A lot of people lost everything. Farmers are going to be affected by that fire for years.
More than 33,000 acres were burned in the Road 702 and 739 fires.
About 14% of our rural district, 43 square miles total, 5 square miles occurred up in the Elwood Fire District, and then, about 40 down here in our area.
It destroyed farm equipment.
Pivots were destroyed.
And the land where farmers make their living. Farmer and Fire Chief Delane Susie said it already made growing crops harder last year.
We had some ground that didn't produce because of the fire. There's a lot of reminder every day.
It not only burned vegetation, but it damaged surface residue, which helps build healthy soil and protect it.
When we lose all that surface residue, now we've got kind of an issue about wind erosion, protection of the soil, and then also what do we do when we are lacking the feed resources? How are we going to help overcome that?
Experts say it can take years for the ground to recover.
The residue that they lost in their fields is substantial. I know a lot of them tried planting over that last year, and the crops just weren't, even pickable or cuttable for what they planted. They're just trying to get the residue back in the ground for them. It's probably going to take 5 to probably 8 years.
Because of the wasted time and resources, many farmers face financial hardships.
The financial impact on just our rural taxpayers is going to be detrimental.
But there are ways farmers can add nutrients to their ground, like adding manure and planting later than normal.
We probably have to be a little bit careful about not trying to get on fields early. If you've been used to having a no-till field that has lots of residue, now all of a sudden it's been set back.
However, time will tell when the land is ready to produce again.
Patience is the key.
COVID rocked the meatpacking world, and as the big guys slowed down, a small plant in Ord expanded.
I am Ace Vanderwall. That's my sister Ida over there.
Tired of academics, Ace Vanderwall wanted a job.
Easier. Don't come back home and farm and ranch.
With some meat.
I'm a ribeye guy.
He bought Ord Locker in 2015, and while he didn't quite complete his PhD, the author of Animal Science papers translated research into designs for a new plant that opened as the big guy shut down.
Nobody could find processing spots, and I was one of the few guys in the state that we had plenty of room to grow.
Hog farmer Dave Setlick feels lost with the global giants.
I'm just in the way for them.
Ord Locker works with those small farmers and ranchers to process a few dozen animals a week. Vandewall says he's doing his part to make the food supply chain more resilient.
The local food movement has been a thing for quite a while. It's exploded a little more since COVID.
I think the more localized we can get, the better.
Support your local farmers and ranchers out there.
It's just going to get the consumer a better product.
Customers stocked their freezers, buying half a hog or beef.
In fact, right now I can't keep up because I've got so many people wanting it.
Maybe make an extra $100 an animal or $200 or $300 an animal. It can mean the thing between making or breaking their year.
For Dave Setlick, satisfaction comes in the compliments.
That's the best bacon I've ever had.
Anyone can get a steak, as Ordenlocker has a retail operation using meat harvested at a federally inspected plant. Vandewall says the next step is to get a USDA inspector on site.
That producer isn't able to sell that animal at farmers markets. He's able to sell one ribeye to you if you want it.
Vandewall knows he's not going to put the big packers out of business, but thinks there's a place for modern plants serving local needs, especially here.
We are in cattle country.
Nebraska farmers produce more with less these days, and that requires on-farm storage. That also means a bigger risk of fatal accidents associated with grain handling. Nebraska Corn encourages farmers to focus on hazards during Stand Up for Grain Safety Week. Every year, hundreds of farmers or employees die while working in grain handling. There are 7 steps to keep in mind, remembering to only enter grain bins when absolutely necessary. First, turn off and lock out equipment before entering bins or doing maintenance. Second, never walk down grain to make it flow. Third, have an observer outside the bin. Number 4, test the air. 5, control dust through housekeeping. 6, do not enter a bin where grain is built up on the side. And finally, use a harness and anchored lifeline when going in a bin. Now to our poll question. This year we're taking part in the UNL TAPS contest, where we make management decisions and see how they work in the real world. First, we asked you what kind of coverage we should get and what level of crop insurance coverage. So we're going with revenue protection at 75% coverage. If you want to help us out, we're going to have more questions coming. Follow us on Twitter, and when we have a poll, make sure to vote. Now back to FFA Convention, where our friends at KRVN have done a great job covering the event. Here's a sample.
We're here on East Campus. The FFA SAE Shark Tank just got wrapped up. It's put on by the Angler Program. One of this year's competitors is Morgan Boniface, joining us from the Aurora FFA chapter. Tell us a little bit about what you were pitching to the judges.
I was pitching 2 of my SAEs, one called Country Kids Pumpkins and the other called Morgan's Mums and More. And mine are selling unique gourds and pumpkins as well as specialty mums.
So how did you get into that?
I started Country Kids Pumpkins when I was just a little toddler with my brothers and my family as a family business. And then going into my freshman year of high school was when COVID hit, and so I had nothing to do, and I knew that I loved flowers and I wanted to kind of start something from the ground up that was completely my own. And so I decided to start Morgan's Mums and More and start growing specialty mums.
So Morgan, you shared with us you have 5 different SAEs. What is it about kind of taking ownership of what you do? Why do you love that?
I grew up with my whole life. My dad owns his own businesses, and so my mom used to be an FFA teacher, and I've always just been surrounded by agriculture, and I've always loved it. So starting out as a young age with the pumpkins and my sheep I've always had are 2 of mine. And then I also have one working with my dad for unpaid labor to help offset the cost of my other 2 businesses. And I kind of just wanted something that was solely my own for Morgan's Mums and More, and so that kind of sparked the interest for that.
Later, we meet a unique FFA chapter whose members span from Gordon to Firth. Up next, a fun way for families to connect with agriculture.
This portion of NTV's Grow is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
Family fun night promoting agriculture. NTV's Sarah Kirkley has the details.
A new program aims to engage families in agriculture. Sarah with Raising Nebraska joining us now to talk about Family Ag Night. Thanks for talking with us, Sarah. What will be happening at this new event?
Well, it's going to be the 3rd Thursday of every month, and we're inviting many of our partners and friends to join us for family-friendly events. They'll be really hands-on. Each month we'll have a different theme. So if maybe one of our themes doesn't appeal to you and your family, that you can join us. So we'll just be talking about agriculture from different lenses every month.
What's the goal here?
The goal is really to help people engage with agriculture. And here at Raising Nebraska, while we are open year-round, not a lot of our families can make it during the daytime when we're open. So by having this in the evenings, we're hoping that more families can join us to learn about where their food comes from and the people who grow it, the equipment and the environment that goes into making Nebraska a leader in so many of our agricultural foods and products.
So what are some of the topics you have planned?
Well, we're going to start in April. We're going to talk about sustainability as we get ready for Earth Day. In May is National Beef Month, so we'll be celebrating beef in May. And then in June, Red Power Roundup, which is a tractor expo for antique tractors of the red variety. So we're going to be talking about tractors and helping people learn a little bit about that. In June, we're going to take July and August off for State Fair and Hall County Fair, and then we'll start back up in the fall with some seasonal topics then as well.
And you mentioned it, Raising Nebraska is known for being interactive. What kinds of activities do you have planned?
Well, like I said, each month is going to be a little different, but certainly with sustainability, we're going to be having some great water and soil activities, as well as maybe a little bit of planting that people can take home with them in April. In May, imagine there'll be some interactives with some different beef things. And then in tractors, certainly we'll have some hands-on technical things with maybe some combine simulator kinds of things, as well as other tractors, people to interact with.
Yeah, so if you want to come out, what do you need to know? How do you get more information?
You can go to our website, raisingnebraska.net, and find all of our activities under our events tab at the top of the page. All of our evening events will be free to the public. Just drop in anytime between that 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. time frame, or you can call us at 308-385-3967. We'll also be posting all of this on our social media, on our Facebook page as well.
All right, thanks so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
Severe weather season is upon us, and NTV meteorologist Regina Bird has more on safety tips you should keep in mind.
Well, today was a statewide tornado drill, so it's always a good day to think about your severe weather action plan, which means considering where you would go if a tornado warning is issued. You want to think about where you would go if you are home, if you're at work, or even at school. You want to make sure you know where the safest place is to be before that warning is issued. So if you have a basement, that is the safe spot to go, and you want to go there as soon as that warning is issued. Stay in that basement until the warning is expired or it's canceled. If you do not have a basement in your home, the best place to go is into an interior room within your home. So a lot of times that's a bathroom, a closet, a hallway. You want to go to a room without windows and stay there until that warning expires or is canceled. Now, one thing to consider is the difference between a severe weather watch and a severe weather warning. So when a watch is issued, that means you need to be prepared to take action. Conditions are favorable. When the warning is issued, that means that severe weather is occurring and you need to get to your shelter now. And then the difference between a tornado warning and a severe thunderstorm warning. With a tornado warning, we either have radar indicated rotation or a confirmed tornado. You need to seek shelter immediately. With a severe thunderstorm warning, that means we are seeing either large hail damaging winds possible with that storm, and you need to be in a safe place as well if you are included within that warning.
Our Drill Weather Outlook is next, and later, much more from here at Pinnacle Bank Arena at the 95th Nebraska FFA Convention.
NTV's Grow Weather is sponsored by Acres Equipment, solutions for every field. Acres has what you need to get the job done.
No change again in the drought monitor this week. In Kansas, still the drought-free zone amounts to just over 15.5%. Elsewhere in Kansas, 84.33% abnormally dry, 75% moderate, 65.5% severe, and the extreme still at 52.33%. 36.25% exceptional drought in Kansas. Nebraska, on the other hand, still that third of 1%. Southeast Nebraska, drought-free, 99.5% abnormally dry, 98.5% moderate, severe, 79.33%, and the extreme, the red area, 32.5% still this week. The exceptional, 5.1% in the northeast part of the Cornhusker State. So the moisture we get is kind of hit and miss. It's been somewhat isolated to parts of northern Nebraska. Equal chances, though, temperature-wise for the month of April coming up. We're going to see that average high and low. The same holds true in Nebraska, or in Kansas, I should say. The southeast part of the state above normal in the temperature category. Equal chances, that means normal precip for the month of April for Nebraska. Kansas, 3 months out. Temperatures will be normal across Nebraska, above normal for most of Kansas. As far as the 3-month outlook for moisture, rain. Good chances of it being normal in Nebraska and most of Kansas, except below normal in the southwest part of the Sunflower State. 60. We see that for a high, not as good as it was today, obviously. Rain chances pretty good for Tuesday, cooling down Wednesday, Thursday, 55 on Friday. At least some slight chances of rain, but some pretty cold overnight lows midweek. Normal highs should be 59, normal lows 34. We are going to average a high 53. Our lows this week will average at 31. Prairie chickens, the booming season in Nebraska coming up. Did you know Nebraska has the largest population of the greater prairie chicken in North America? So if you see one going into a creek or the timbers, that means it's going to get cold. When a prairie chicken sits, ruffles up its feathers, it's going to be cold. I think it's going to be cold this week anyway, but if you see a prairie chicken, he'll tell you the same. That is your Grow Report for this week. Join us again next time when once again it will be time to grow.
We love seeing your photos, especially how those kids receiving their state degrees and getting their awards at the FFA convention. Go to nebraska.tv and send those to Chime In. City kids, farm kids, public, private, or homeschool kids, FFA provides opportunities for all of them. Find out more coming up next.
Ag Outlook on NTV's Grow is driven by Cornhusker Toyota Honda, home of the Toyota Tacoma and Tundra trucks, and Nebraska's only dual Toyota Honda dealer.
The state convention is the first time members of one unique FFA chapter have ever met, coming together from all across Nebraska.
Representing the Shelton FFA chapter,
Applause and high fives.
Good job.
7,000 kids come together as one.
It was a surreal feeling thinking about everyone that's actually here, how many kids that are here, and how many new connections you're going to make while you're here.
A feeling Mahia Jones wasn't sure she'd get. Her family wanted a homeschool, which could have taken away an opportunity she'd been looking forward to.
Definitely FFA is what was holding me back from homeschooling. It's a pretty important part of my life.
A group of parents worked together with a couple of certified ag teachers to start their own program.
Nebraska Ag Academy is a homeschool FFA chapter in Nebraska. It is the only one in our state.
One teacher with a busy schedule and long commutes was looking for a change.
Driving 2 hours a day and trying to raise kids and rodeo and ranch was too much.
FFA is not an after-school club. It's integrated into the curriculum. So students in the homeschool group pay tuition and meet online. Teachers also visit farms and ranches to see what kids are up to.
I started in Firth, Nebraska, and then the next weekend I went up to Johnstown, Stewart, Valentine, Gordon. I stayed with you that weekend and then went up to Gordon. Put on a lot of miles. I think in one weekend I put on almost 1,000 miles.
Urban schools and Catholic schools have added ag education, while many public schools build their programs too.
209 chapters right now, which is amazing, and we're expecting more growth in the next year.
The homeschool kids can compete in contests and attend the state convention,
where you get to meet a lot of great people in the agricultural field.
And your state FFA president.
Nebraska has around 11,000 students who homeschool. For those with an interest in agriculture, they can now wear the jacket that unites.
We're not held back anymore. Like, we're here.
NTV's Grow is brought to you by Aurora Cooperative. Tougher together, Aurora and you.